Hey guys, it's Rob Carson. Are you ready for another edition of the Rob Carson Show live video podcast?
It's the Rob Carson Show. Are you ready to be podsmacked? Now, here's Rob Carson.
How you doing, guys? Welcome to the show. Glad to have you here. Been a busy day for me. My first day of training as a car salesman. Don't worry, I'm not going to do it, I'm going to keep doing this. All right, I'm going to keep doing this. I'm taking a little break from talk radio. And hopefully we'll return to it. I'm doing this for my family. And it's kind of interesting because when you're a radio broadcaster, you get a lot of benefits. And you kind of have to learn a little lesson of humility. And that's fine, but you know what else? The people at the dealership, it's Hendrick Toyota in Merriam, Kansas, near Kansas City. HendrickToyotaMerriam.com. They're glad to have me there. And they don't fire people when they make too much money. I know, weird, right? Anyway, got it started. It's a new adventure for me. And like I said, eventually will I return to talk radio? I hope so. Because I think I'm pretty good at it, Whatever. Anyway, welcome. We've got a lot of stuff to get to. A bunch of stuff on the FBI scandal, planting informants in the Trump 2016 campaign. A lot of stuff on that. A lot of stuff on Donald Trump doubling down on the MS-13 animals thing. The mayor of Oakland, who is so profoundly broken as a leftist, defends them. Also, Keith Ellison does the black equivalent of blackface. I'll explain what that's all about. 2 Americans were detained by a Border Patrol agent after he heard them speaking Spanish. That's just, sorry, that's just wrong, all right? Got some video on all of these things, a little bit more on the shootings in Texas, the high school. And Sarah Jessica Parker just made a complete ass of herself. Not hard for her to do. I'll explain what that's all about as the show progresses. But anyway, welcome to the show. At least one additional government informant attempted to infiltrate the Trump campaign under President Obama. This according to Trump campaign aide Michael Caputo. He was on the Ingram angle last night. Says, let me tell you something for a fact. This informant, this person that they tried to plant into the campaign and even into the administration, if you believe Axios, he's not the only person who came at the campaign, and the FBI is not the only Obama agency who came at the campaign. Not a big surprise. He says, I know because they came at me. I'm looking for clearance from my attorney to reveal this to the public. This is just the beginning. The mainstream media is ignoring it. It's the biggest scandal in the history of the country. Axios has reported that the suspected FBI informant in the Trump campaign was recommended for a senior post in the Trump administration. When we finally found out the truth about this, Director Clapper, of course, former Director of National Intelligence, James Clapper, and the rest of them will be wearing orange jumpsuits. Whoa! New York Times reported the informant approached Papadopoulos. You all know about George Papadopoulos. Carter Page approached him with an offer of money to write an academic paper about energy in the Eastern Mediterranean region over drinks at a high-end London hotel. He asked Papadopoulos if he knew anything about Russian attempts to influence the election. According to the Times, Papadopoulos replied he had no insight into the Russian campaign, despite being told months earlier that the Russians had dirt on Hillary Clinton in the form of thousands of her emails. Now, that didn't stop someone who was there from hearing something different. Australian Foreign Minister Alexander Downer. He tipped off the FBI because of Papadopoulos saying at one point that he knew that the Russians had some Hillary Clinton emails. He didn't really know that. He was told that, and he was drunk and bragging like he knew it. This Australian foreign minister helped secure $25 million for the Clinton Foundation. He's the guy who tipped off the FBI. He's the guy who tipped off the FBI. He and former President Bill Clinton signed a memorandum of understanding that purportedly dedicated the substantial funding to a project meant to provide screenings and drug treatment for AIDS that Bill Clinton infected people with. No, actually, patients in Asia, which, of course, none of the money got there. The donation, originally intended for the Clinton Foundation, was then rerouted through an affiliate, the Clinton Health Access Initiative, or CHI. It's CHI. It's CHI, like chai tea, oh, that's funny. The Clinton Health Access Initiative, called CHI. Why would you name it CHI? Why don't you spell the word latte? God, so stupid. Auditors criticized its management weaknesses and inadequate budgetary oversight. Well, that's what the Clinton Foundation was all about. Donald Trump talking today, meeting with the South Korean delegation about the thought that the FBI infiltrated his campaign and what a disgrace it is. And it is. It is.
Mr. President, can you tell us more about your meeting with Rod Rosenstein and Director Wray yesterday?
No, it's just a very routine meeting. As you know, the Congress would like to see documents opened up. A lot of people are saying they had spies in my campaign. If they had spies in my campaign, that would be a disgrace to this country. That would be one of the biggest insults that anyone's ever seen, and it would be very illegal, aside from everything else. It would make probably every political event ever look like small potatoes.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure that there weren't. I hope there weren't, frankly. But some man got paid based on what I read in the newspapers.
And by the way, in case you didn't know, today, some Republicans introduced a resolution calling for the appointment of a second special counsel to investigate alleged misconduct at the FBI and Justice Department. Representative Mark Meadows, Representative Jim Jordan, Representative Ron DeSantis. The only problem is they're asking the DOJ to investigate itself, and the DOJ to investigate the FBI. So how well is that going to work with the deep state? A little bit more from Mr. Trump.
And on what you reported, some person got paid a lot of money. That's not a normal situation.
$1 million. That was that Cambridge University professor.
The kind of money you're talking about. So hopefully that would be, and I think the Department of Justice wants to get down to it, and I can tell you Congress does. So hopefully they'll all be able to get together. General Kelly's going to be setting up a meeting between Congress and the various representatives, and they'll be able to open up documents, take a look, and find out what happened. But if they had spies in my campaign, during my campaign for political purposes, that would be unprecedented in the history of our country.
100%. 100%. Absolutely disgraceful. Weaponizing the DOJ and the FBI. I don't even know where to start, guys. You've heard me explain this. Hillary Clinton got $145 million from Russian companies after she signed off on uranium 1 and 1/5 of our uranium reserves in this country. Foundation got $145 million from Russian companies. We know that happened. We know that Hillary Clinton had a private server while she was Secretary of State, and the reason why she had it was to cover up that sort of Russian collusion. It wasn't just about yoga and their daughter's wedding. 33,000 emails. She says it about yoga and her daughter's wedding. The most unbelievable thing, Hillary Clinton does yoga? Okay, sure. Yeah. Dear God, could you imagine her in hot yoga? Oh, boy. Oh, God in heaven. Ah. Oh. Hold on. I just smelled that. I just saw that. Sweaty Hillary. Oh, dear Lord in heaven. I'm sorry. If you're eating, I am sorry. CNN legal analyst Jeffrey Toobin and Harvard professor Alan Dershowitz went head-to-head over the spying. And Alan Dershowitz has been the voice of common sense in this argument, even though he is a lib. I have the audio from this exchange.
There was ample evidence of collusion between Russia and the Trump campaign. That's what this whole investigation...
Okay, that's Toobin. There was ample evidence that there was collusion in the Trump campaign. You, sir, are an ignoramus. There's not been one iota of evidence that there was collusion in the Trump campaign, you idiot. There has not been... Do your homework, fool. Tell me Tell me what evidence of collusion to win the election there was in the Trump campaign. Not one thing. $10 million into this investigation by Robert Mueller. Not one iota of evidence. Paul Manafort being indicted for something that happened in 2005, not even related to this investigation. Do you know why? Because it's a fishing expedition to take down the Trump administration and anybody associated with it. This buffoon, CNN legal analyst Jeffrey Toobin, give me one effing shred of evidence that there was collusion between the Russians and Donald Trump to win the 2016 election. I'll remind you again. What the hell would Donald Trump, or what would the Russians gain from a foreign policy hawk with regard to Russia? What would the Russians gain by getting a man elected who is a strong America First candidate, American military supporting candidate, versus a buffoon who started off her stint as Secretary of State, presenting a Russian diplomat with a button that was supposed to say reset, but it said overcharge, and then sold 1/5 of the uranium reserves of our country to a Russian company in exchange for $145 million from Russian companies. Why in the hell would Russia want Donald Trump to be the president? You idiot buffoon Jeffrey Toobin.
The idea that now the investigation has to be investigated, it just shows what happens when the president takes control of an investigation of him.
So now what you're saying is there was already evidence of collusion.
This is Dershowitz.
It was legitimate to put an informer in the FBI to see if, A, there was enough evidence to warrant further investigation, maybe to ask some hard and provocative questions that would get them to give incriminating answers. That does sound like a pretty fulsome investigation. I want to know what the evidence was. No judge has found.
Yeah, show me the evidence there, Jeffrey Toobin, you moron.
Probable cause. I think the American public has to be assured that there was a basis. It's not enough for Jeffrey Toobin to say there was collusion already at that time. I want to know what the facts were that justify that.
Well, Jeffrey Toobin has presented nothing. Jeffrey Toobin has presented nothing. And you know why? Because there's no evidence of collusion. That's just the way it is. It's just the way it is, kids. Tucker Carlson embarrassed Democrat California Representative Eric Stilwell last night over Russian collusion. Tucker played a clip. Remember when Donald Trump in an election he joked about Russia, talking about, hey, Russia, if you got 30,000 emails, I'd love to see them. Here's a little bit from the exchange last night between this doofus Democrat California Representative Eric Stilwell and Tucker Carlson. This Eric Stilwell literally thinks that the joke was even though it was very public, a nod to Vladimir Putin to go after Hillary Clinton. It's just hilarious.
So I think we have that. This is July 27th, 2016, at the Doral National, which he owns in Doral, Florida. Here's the clip you're talking about.
Russia, if you're listening, I hope you're able to find the 30,000 emails that are missing. I think you will probably be rewarded mightily by our press.
What is worth Barack Obama telling Dmitry Medvedev off mic, when we win the election, I will have more flexibility, or Donald Trump making a joke?
Let's see if that happens.
So, two questions.
He was rewarded.
Yeah.
One, do we have the 30,000 emails? Did Russia ever come up with those?
We're still.
No, they didn't.
They didn't.
But,
Yeah.
That for a fact?
Well, we haven't seen them.
Yeah.
It's been 2 years. Why? If Donald Trump asked for him, why doesn't he have them on a silver platter?
Well, let's let the Mueller investigation continue.
Okay, maybe Mueller's in contact with the Russians, but Trump didn't come up with those from the Russians.
He was. He got like $25 million from a Russian oligarch.
So that didn't happen. But let me ask you this: if Trump was going to,
there's still an attempt there, right?
Okay, but
you can attempt to do something and fail, and it can still be a crime.
But would you do? I mean, I hate to inject common sense into this.
Would you do it in broad daylight?
To make secret contact with Russia, your handlers back in Moscow, wouldn't you dial them up in the shortwave in the basement? Would you really send a coded message in the middle?
Isn't there like a red phone?
With a joke at a press conference?
I'm not saying he's the smartest guy in the world, Tucker.
Oh, okay.
Never accused him of that.
That's the
Part of the
smoking
evidence.
gun right there.
That's part of the evidence. An invitation made by the candidate.
At a press
telling him it's okay.
conference. Okay, but
He's not
that
the
was
smartest
on
guy in the world.
television. Okay, so he's both a secret agent for Putin, but he's so dumb that he spills his secrets at a press conference on TV.
The latter.
Okay. Yeah, of course. When you're losing an argument, you call somebody a name. You call them a racist. You call them a moron. Whatever you want. You idiot. I swear to God in heaven. Donald Trump would not have. This was not a wink and a nod. It was a joke. It's like, Russia, hey, you got the emails. Give them to me. It was a joke, you idiot. Dear Lord. In a few minutes, I'm going to play a joke, supposedly by Keith Ellison. He did the black version of blackface. I'll explain what that's all about in a second. A little bit more from this doofus, woefully unprepared to talk to Tucker Carlson. Democrat California Representative Eric Stilwell on Tucker's show.
He makes an invitation. He doesn't disavow what they're doing.
But
so what do? They start to do more.
Give him the 30,000 emails.
They start to do more. They start to hack more. And so
You heard the people
Really?
laughing at the end of what he said, right?
he's broadcasting. He's committing, the offer in broad daylight.
Russia,
sure.
why wouldn't he just act through all the many Russian agents?
So
and
let me
say,
continue. So at the same time,
those are
why wouldn't he get a private server? I mean, if he really wanted to communicate with the Russians incognito, why didn't he just get a private server? And then after after the dealing was done, have the server destroyed, have all of the mobile devices and all the hard drives bleach bit, all of the mobile devices, all the blackboards destroyed. That's how you do it. That's how you do it. Hillary Clinton showed us how to do that, kids.
questions, right? It's a little confusing.
Completely fair question.
So what's the answer?
But there's no, hey,
why would he do it in public?
Why did he admit to Lester Holt obstruction of justice in public? There's no who could be so stupid they commit the crime in public exception. He did it.
Has any secret agent ever broadcast a message at a press conference to his handlers ever?
Has any businessman ever been elected president? Sometimes you're the first.
That's a good analogy. Has any businessman ever been elected president? Well, obviously, he's so stupid. It is amazing. Hold on. We've got according to Democrats, just an absolute idiot in the White House. We had the smartest man in the history of the White House in the White House for 8 years. Couldn't get GDP above 1%. Okay, we saw massive employment, massive food stamp enrollment, massive regulation, business flat or down, people working 3 jobs to get by, wages completely stagnant, our diminished strength in the eyes of the entire world, the rise of ISIS, and then here comes this idiot. This idiot Donald Trump, and what? I mean, he's like Forrest Gump. He stumbled his way to success. He's a racist, and he's the worst racist in the history of mankind. I mean, he is really a bad racist because the Hispanic and black unemployment rate in the country is the lowest it's ever been. He is the worst. He's an idiot. He is Trump Gump.
First person to do it. So Tucker, again, he made the invitation.
Okay, you idiot. Oh, I swear to God in heaven. I swear to God in heaven. So, Sally Yates was on with Morning Joe. God, what a show. There's only reason why. I mean, I've had bigger ratings on the radio in one market than I have that Morning Joe gets nationally. But here is Sally Yates talking about Trump's calls to investigate the FBI and how somehow this is an assault on the rule of law. However, planting FBI agents in the Trump campaign to spy on them. However, presenting 4 times to a FISA court and lying about a DNC Hillary Clinton paid for dossier so they could eavesdrop, they could wiretap the Trump campaign. Somehow that is not an all-out assault on the rule of law.
The conditions in their own countries. Absolutely.
Here she is.
So, Sally, let's move to news of the day. Obviously, the Trump administration, Donald Trump himself, accusing the Obama administration of...
This guy used to fill in for Limbaugh, but he is so badly p-whipped that he's lost every modicum of common sense in his Ivy League educated brain.
Improperly targeting his campaign for an investigation.
Look at how serious he is with his big boy hair.
What's your response to everything you've heard over the weekend?
Here she is.
Well, obviously, I'm not going to comment on the specific facts there. It's really up to the Department of Justice to decide what information should be made public.
The corrupt DOJ.
But, I think what we're seeing here is the president has just taken his all-out assault on the rule of law to a new level. And this time, he is ordering up an investigation of the investigators who are examining his own campaign.
They aren't investigators.
That's really shocking.
They aren't.
Sal,
they aren't investigators.
How do you think this will play out? Ben Wittes has written.
They're not investigators. They're spies. They're moles. They're looking for anything, and they've used this FISA warrant from a dossier that was nonsense to go after anything, a fishing expedition, anything associated with a campaign, a transition team, and a presidency.
He thinks that if this order actually gets issued, that it will put Rod Rosenstein, Christopher Wray, and others potentially in a position where if they were asked to actually carry out the order that the president suggested yesterday, they would basically be forced to resign.
Listen to how morose these people sound. It is like some sort of an assault that the president, after finding out that the FBI planted somebody for $1 million in the Trump campaign, that we found out that a meeting with George Papadopoulos was dummied up. He was fed information that he bragged about to a Clinton donor. Clinton donor contacts the FBI and the DOJ, and they immediately use that, and it was a plant. It was a plant. It was meant to happen. It was meant to be an excuse to use a drunk 24-year-old naive guy to say something to somebody at a bar. This Australian, Russia's been saying that he's a ambassador. He's not an ambassador. He's not an ambassador. He is a Australian foreign minister, Alexander Downer. He is a complete hack for the Clinton Foundation and the Clintons. $25 million he got to them, and he was used as a tool to get this kid to say something enough to attract the interest of the corrupt FBI and DOJ under Barack Obama, and then ultimately you combine that with a dossier paid for by the DNC, paid for by Hillary Clinton, paid for by Barack Obama's Organizing for America. You forget this. Organizing for America paid $900,000 of this $11 million bill for this piece of crap. And these morons on MSNBC, these morons, they're acting so morose. Like because the president is calling for the investigation of these organizations that planted a mole, a spy in a presidential campaign that he bought and paid for by the DNC, Hillary Clinton, and Barack Obama's Organizing for America was used 4 times to go to a FISA court to spy on a campaign. And this is the affront to justice. The suggestion of investigating the 2 organizations that committed those misdeeds during the campaign, during the transition, and now during the presidency.
Well, I know it was just a tweet, but he did say something to the effect, if I recall correctly, I hereby order. Yeah. And we saw the Justice Department respond to that. But, I think Rod Rosenstein is trying to strike a balance here between diffusing this situation, but also protecting the rule of law and the institutional integrity of the department. There is no integrity of the department. I mean, are you out of your effing mind? The integrity of the department. Oh my God, hold on. I'm glad I wasn't drinking milk right now. It would have been all over the screen. Dear God in heaven. James Freeman, Wall Street Journal, talking about spying on the Trump campaign. This is the Wall Street Journal, of course, is no conservative. It's not a conservative publication. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. Here is what he had to say about this spying on the Trump campaign and whether or not Barack Obama knew about it.
Days of this, right? We're under former President
from Fox
Obama.
and Friends, yes.
James Freeman last night on the show from the Wall Street Journal, and he says that former President Obama may want to weigh in on all of this soon. Here's what he told us.
Wouldn't it
By the way, Barack Obama's been very quiet. Have you noticed that? He's been very, very quiet.
naturally be a presidential level decision to begin spying on a U.S. political campaign? You would think so. Now, maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was Clapper or Comey or Comey.
The president knew about it.
Deciding on their own to do this. Well, it seems to me that President Obama might want to.
He sounds a little like Jeff Daniels. Did you notice that?
Weigh in at this point and say, I didn't authorize that. I don't know why they went forward with it.
Because the fuse is shortening. The fuse is shortening. It's getting closer to the White House. I'm not meaning to make that. It is, well, how do I say this? You know, when you say hot potato, you're getting warmer, getting warmer, getting colder, getting colder. We're getting warmer and warmer towards Barack Obama in the White House. In fact, we're right on red hot. Because that's where this all started. Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama. Come on, man. You think we're stupid?
Or maybe was there a moment where he learned about it while in office and he said, what the hell are you doing spying on the U.S.
Oh, sure. Yeah, he did that. He did that.
Political campaign.
He just doesn't have that reputation of a guy that has his hands off the wheel at any point.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. That's the nicest thing that anyone's ever done for me. All right. I won't do any more show tunes. Oh, my goodness. Keith Ellison. Here's Keith Ellison doing a parody, and I've written song parodies for 28 years for Rush Limbaugh and others. Here's Keith Ellison attempting a bit of humor. I guess this is in Minnesota. Mocking the president. Oh, the men roast, apparently. The men roast. Here is Keith Ellison at the men roast.
I'm a nice, honest man. I just want straight shooting.
Isn't this is cultural appropriation? You know that, right? I mean, honestly, if a white kid can't dress up like a black person, it's racist. But here is Keith Ellison dressing up like Donald Trump. I mean, let's just apply the same standard, shall we, kids?
I want to be called a stable genius. I just call my best friend Vlad Putin.
He didn't write this.
Putin. My buddy Vladimir Putin.
Apparently he knows 3 guitar chords. Which is what I, left high school knowing.
Vladimir Putin. I love that Vladimir Putin. But there was no collusion. I just won the vote fair and square. I didn't buy the election. I just bought off my latest affair.
Okay, well, you didn't, because Hillary Clinton spent $1.5 billion on a losing effort. So certainly Donald Trump did not buy the election. I mean, come on, Keith. What did Donald Trump spend? 1/3 what Hillary Clinton spent, and he ended up winning. So buying the election, okay, I go buy off the latest affair, whatever. So stupid. White House released yesterday a press release which appears intended to troll the media over President Trump calling MSNBC. MS-13. Sorry, I get them confused. That was a Freudian slip, wasn't it? Okay, pardon me. Calling MS-13 members animals. The release is titled, What You Need to Know About the Violent Animals of MS-13. I love this, including several more references to MS-13 members as animals. I believe this is Friday at a roundtable when it was completely unrelated to what was going on there. But here he is doubling down on the animals comments.
Mr. President, sir, could you clarify the context of your use of the word animal yesterday in referring to some people who were in there?
Well, it has nothing to do with this meeting, but I'm referring, and I'm referring to the MS-13 gangs that are coming in. And I was talking.
And whoever asked that damn question, what the hell are you thinking? Do you think we're this effing stupid that after 3 days of the news cycle, we all haven't figured out with the lead-in question at the round table with regard to MS-13 and the immigration that Donald Trump meant anything about anyone but MS-13 when he referred to people coming across the borders as animals? You can't be that effing clueless.
About the MS-13, and also if you look a little bit further on in the tape, you'll see that. So I'm actually surprised you're asking this question.
No, you're not surprised, because this troll, this buffoon, I don't know if he's just trying to get his voice on tape. I don't see the point, because the question is baseless and stupid at this point.
Most people got it right. But I'm saying the MS-13, you don't have that where you come from. MS-13, these are animals. They're coming into our country. We're getting them out. They come in again. We're getting them out. We need strong immigration laws. We have the weakest laws in the entire world.
Pretty much.
We have laws that are laughed at on immigration.
Pretty much. Well, except for, Europe.
So when the MS-13 comes in, when the other gang members come into our country, I refer to them as animals. And guess what? I always will. But we're getting them out by the thousands. But it's a big, dangerous job. And they're able, in some cases, to come back in, or new groups come in, also from the gangs.
I love it. I just love the, George Bush would have hem and hawed about this. Donald Trump's like, no, you know what? You should know. You asked me this question. Come on. I made it fairly clear, you moron. I mean, the trolling is over. The attacks, the attacks, and then moving on and changing the subject, that ended last week, and yet or last Thursday, and you're asking me this on Friday. Are you can't be serious as a journalist. Oakland Mayor Libby Schaaf says Donald Trump's a racist to call violent gang members animals, even referred to them as vulnerable. This is the sickness of the radical left in this country. She was interviewed with Aaron Burnett on CNN. I have to ask you about something else the president said. Burnett said this is a controversial thing. He came under criticism for it, but now he's owning it, calling members of the violent gang MS-13 animals. Today, he tripled down on that. That was today. The president has repeatedly stood by those words. You obviously have seen this. Is that a fair use of the word? Mayor Schaaf says, I believe that this president's language is racist. Listen to this. It is fear-mongering, and it is trying to distract the American people from the job that elected officials are supposed to do, whatever that means, and that's improve the lives of the people that were supposed to represent, instead of casting blame and dispersion against a very vulnerable population. MSNBC. I did it again. Jeez Louise. MS-13. Listen to this. This is this just dipwad, Mayor Schaaf. That's what we're doing here in Oakland. Oakland is a very proud, diverse sanctuary city. Diverse. Yes. We have all sorts of gangs here, all sorts of them. Our crime has gone down over the last few years. It can only go anywhere but down in Oakland. We were working on safety by lifting our children and getting them college degrees. That's the work that politicians should be doing, not trying to blame others for their own failings. What really? Really, the Democrat Party is all about blaming others for your failings. You blame the rich, you blame white supremacy, you blame all these things for your failings. That's what the Democrat Party is all about, is blame. Dear God in heaven, this guy calls radical, murderous, rapist gangs, calls them animals, and this doofus is saying that the Democrat Party doesn't blame others for their own failings. I hate to tell you this, MS-13, we don't blame them for our failings. We blame them because, are you ready for the mantra? Do you know what the MS-13 gang motto is? Kill, rape, control. Kill, rape, control. Lions and tigers and bears. Oh my! Kill, rape, control. So this idiot mayor, Mayor Libby Schaaf, says that they're vulnerable, even though their motto is kill, rape, control. Even in Maryland, I read about this. MS-13 animals accused of stabbing a man more than 100 times, decapitating him, dismembering him, ripping his heart out of his body. They also, in Maryland, savagely beat a 15-year-old human trafficking victim, used a bat, took turns beating her nearly 30 times in total. In Houston, Texas, two MSNBC, I did, God dang it. Could you imagine the MSNBC gang with, what? Rachel Bad Cow is the leader. Joe Scarborough. I'll scratch you. Scratch. Whatever. I'm not going to. I'll just try to laugh after some of the things they've done. Kill, rape, control. Freelance writer Rob Russo drew headlines on Monday. He announced on Twitter that I'd rather my daughter dated a member of the MS-13 than a member of the Republican Party, which is, just honestly, it is unhinged. It is sick. Turns out he doesn't have a daughter. He was just being a douche. He fashions himself as a troll who loves to get right-wingers worked up. Well, if you use untruth and inflammatory language, it's easy to get anybody fired up, you moron. Russo says on his Twitter profile that he's a gun expert, sure, mediocre musician, and cool dad. In addition to his credentials, I should say, as a writer for Vice Sports and Paste Magazine, whatever that is. I guess they people who eat paste. I don't know. He admitted in a Paste piece that AR stands for assault rifles. Didn't exactly know what it meant. It means Armalite rifle. In his expletive-riddled article, Rousseau further mocks anyone who takes issue with his inflammatory comments, saying that in the discussions about firearms, that people on the other side are more upset about his inaccurate tweet about the meaning of what AR stands for, not dead children, not the toxic masculinity that has been an obvious threat, linking together many of these mass shooters, not the increasingly organized white supremacists, this is Talking Point Central, that have now murdered dozens of people across the country. This kid, I don't know. Nassau County Commissioner Patrick Ryder said, I would love for him to sit down for a week and speak to the victims' families. Tell them that he would have MSNBC. God, I'm done. I can't say anymore. I keep saying it. MSNBC. MSNBC 13. Gang. Oh, man, I'm a mess. I just can't stop saying it. It's funny. I'm not going to do that. Maxine Waters' campaign committees paid her daughter nearly $50,000 this election cycle, with additional $65,000 forthcoming. Series of 9 payments between May 2017, January 2018. Most recent payment of $5,000 was made January 19th for slate mailer management fees is what it is. Oh, God. She is such a freaking corrupt old hag. A slate mailer is a mass mailing in support of or opposed to candidates or ballot initiatives. Okay. Sure. Oh, here's the representative, not the Reverend Al Green, by the way. Far difference between the guy who's saying, let's stay together, loving you forever. I know. It's good or bad or happy or sad. Instead, you got this doofus, Al Green, talking about, and this, I believe this is on C-SPAN, talking about when the Democrats win the houses of Congress, which is not going to happen, and I'll explain that in a second. What they're going to do.
Representative Green, if Democrats take back the House in November, what is the likelihood that Speaker Nancy Pelosi will bring up an impeachment charge?
I'll let Speaker Pelosi.
And just real quick, I mean, you can't see this on the audio podcast. He really needs to shave up them cheeks a little bit. Your beard should not go to just under the bags under your eyes.
Address her actions. But here is a point that I think is salient and one that ought to be...
I think it's the biggest word I've ever heard him say.
Referenced. Every member of the House is accorded the opportunity to bring up impeachment. This is not something that the Constitution...
He's being very kind of sublime and quiet. Normally he's like, and from the floor, I give you the
Constitution has bestowed upon leadership.
That's what he sounds like.
Something that every member has a right and privilege of doing. So I'm not sure that there'll be members who are going to wait for someone else if that someone else, doesn't matter who it is declining to do it. We can all do it. And I think that there's a good likelihood that there will be articles of impeachment.
Have you heard?
Even though we don't have any basis for them. Yeah, what the F? What the F? Article. If this is all you have, and this is what they have, the Democrats, all they have is hate, impeach, increase in minimum wage. That's what they got for the midterms. Meanwhile, the GDP is above 3%. Meanwhile, unemployment is at 3.9%. Meanwhile, ISIS is being crushed. Really? Boy, that blue wave's coming. It's more like it's more like the blue wave in your toilet. It really is. It's more like the blue wave in your toilet because it's a Democrat Party going down the toilet. It is. It's more like the Democrat Party going down the toilet. The blue wave is like the Democrats going down the toilet. That's the blue wave. That's the Democrat wave going counterclockwise down the toilet in November. This is just, come on, man. Are you just void of common sense? Border Patrol agent goes after two women who just happened to be speaking Spanish in Haver, Montana, near the border with Canada. You normally expect people to come down from Mexico from Canada. Here's the video of this honestly, and just real quick. This is an outrage, okay? You can't immediately infer that because someone is speaking a language or other than English, the national language in this country, that they're here illegally. What the F are you thinking, man? You're on the Canadian border and you hear two women speaking Spanish at a convenience store and you immediately decide to run their papers to see if they're here legally. This is just, it's so absurd and yet incredibly dangerous at the same time. Here's the video. Oh. Anna Suda. They were at the town pump, whatever that is, buying milk and eggs.
So can you tell us in the video, please, why you ask us for our IDs, please?
Ma'am, the reason I asked you for your ID is because I came in here and I saw that you guys are speaking Spanish, which is very unheard of up here.
Okay.
Just run your name.
Which is very unheard of up here. Are you out of your nut? Well, we're here down in Mississippi, and we normally don't hear these New York accents. And you may be freedom defenders and all that, but it ain't right down here. Yeah.
We have accents, you say. Just because our profile, right? No. Racial profile.
It has nothing to do with that.
No?
You are out of your mind, you moron.
It has to do with you guys speaking Spanish in the store.
Spanish in the
store. It has. This is it would be terrifying if it weren't so absurd. What the F was this guy thinking?
In a state where it's predominantly English speaking. Okay?
In a state where it's predominantly English speaking. Well, you know what? If you hear somebody in an Indian restaurant, which is probably pretty rare up there too, you definitely need to go in and think that they sneak across the border from India.
Okay. Sounds good.
You idiot.
We have your name also?
Oh.
Yes, sir. It is Agent O'Neill.
Agent O'Neill.
And we are recording.
I need to see your documents. You're speaking another language. What are you doing here? This man needs to be suspended and fired.
740. Excuse me. 504. 528.
You give some people a uniform, and I swear to God, it's dangerous. 104.
Can you meet me at the town pump, please?
God
almighty. 20 miles north.
Must be boring up there. Where is it? What town is it again? Border Patrol agent in where the hell this town is. Haver, whatever the hell it is. Montana. Mimi Hernandez, Ana Suda, going by to pick up some eggs and milk, speaking Spanish. And this doofus asked for her papers. Dear God.
10 for 527, 528.
I guess those are the driver's license numbers. I would sue their mother-loving asses off. Would I honestly, wow. Think about how many families here speak other languages, Armenian or German or Irish or Canadian. I'm sorry, I'm a little giddy. There's just so much stupid ass news in the news today. There's just so much stupid crap in the news today. I honestly don't even know where to begin. I just don't know where to begin. I'm going to wrap things up with a story. I just want to bring this up. I also want to mention that I have a line of politically incorrect swag. And they are really neat designs, guys. And I'd really appreciate if you check it out because I'm trying to make some money, support my family. And I've got a great friend named Sam Cangelosi who's come up with these wonderful designs. Go to teepublic.com, teepublic.com, as in t-shirt. Look up Conservatees with 2 E's at the end. Conservatees at the end. Okay, you guys listening? Write that down. 75 plus designs. You guys watching, you can see them. Some of them. They're colorful, they're awesome, they're political, they're funny. Some of them are not political. We've got some stuff that's not political. But they're awesome. You can have them put on. I mean, dozens of items. Onesies, t-shirts, tanks, laptop cases, phone covers, mouse pads, all of that stuff. And they're funny as crap. They are really, really effing funny. I'd really appreciate it if you'd consider going there. teepublic.com/conservatees with 2 E's. Okay. Sarah Jessica listen, this is classic. Sarah Jessica Parker from Sex and the City decided to champion the rise in the minimum wage. What she wants to do is, the fight for 15, which used to be the fight for 10-10. 10-10, it was what it was. Democrats wanted 10-10. Democrats wanted 10-10. 10-10 was enough. 10-10, that's what we wanted. And this literally until about 2 years ago. 10-10, they just wanted $10.10. And then Democrats realized you can't pay union dues on $10.10, but you might be able to do it on $15 an hour. That's what it's about. That's what it's about. It's about raising the minimum wage high enough that union dues can be paid and the Democrat Party can get the money. Even if it's a couple $100 a year. Major money. That's what it's about. So she decided to do this event for poor lowly people making minimum wage. And it was called Dinner with Friends. And it was a gala. They're facing backlash from people within the restaurant industry because all the people making minimum wage had to serve these rich elitists. The exclusive gala's tickets were going for as much as $50,000 with dinner starting at $50,000 a head. Or $500 a head. The lofty costs are aimed at fundraising for the One Fair Wage campaign. However, the sheer cost is met with objection from people within the industry, believing that raising the minimum wage will put people out of their industry jobs. Joshua Chastain, a Maine bartender, said, "I've been contacted by dozens of servers who were interested in protesting the event. They were particularly furious about a $50,000 per table fundraising to harm our industry, attended by people who don't work in our industry. However, the food was served by people in their industry. This apparently, I guess this is happening tonight at 6 o'clock, which it's past that already. In New York. Oh, by the way, guests can shell out $1,000 to get a photo with Parker. I'm not sure if any of the employees serving the coq au vin or whatever's being served, or duck breast with a wine reduction. Oh, the hypocrisy. Thanks for joining me tonight, guys. I hope you had fun. I had a nice day today, learning a new skill. I'm happy, and I hope you've enjoyed the show. I hope you've enjoyed the show. If you want to write me personally, carsonontheradio@gmail.com, carsonontheradio@gmail.com. If you would like to follow me on Facebook, it is Rob Carson Show. If you would like to follow me on Twitter, it is just Rob Carson. God bless, and I will see you again soon.
Thanks for listening to The Rob Carson Show. Friend him on Facebook at Carson Show, on Twitter at Rob Carson, and on Instagram, I think Facebook and Twitter are enough for now. We'll see you soon.
Actually, I'm on Instagram at Rob Carson 1776. Rob Carson 1776. I know, I'm going to change it. It's not kind of lame. But anyway, I got a lot of stuff up there. So see you guys. Bye.